McKinsey, Bain, BCG, or is it McKinsey, BCG, Bain? Well, no one may ever know what the order of these top firms is when you're referring to them as MBB. What we do know is that these are the consulting companies with the most coveted of jobs. For most schools, the top hiring industry is consulting, with many schools sending 40 to even 50% of its class there. These include schools that have traditionally not been considered consulting schools, including Darden, which sends about 46% of its class to consulting, while Emory has a whopping 54% headed that way. Consulting is a top choice for good reason. The average compensation for MBA-minted consultants is somewhere in the $200,000 range when you include salary and bonus. With numbers like these, that decision to pursue an MBA is validated pretty quickly. Yet consulting can really mean many different things, be it strategy consulting, in other words, MBB, or more operationally focused consulting of the type that Deloitte and EY Parthenon are best known for. Layer in financial consulting, technology consulting, or just general management consulting, and this 40% number can be somewhat deceiving. Sure, 40% of the class may go into consulting, but there isn't one type of consulting that everyone wants to do. Why don't we start again and answer the question, at what schools do MBB actually hire from? Of course, the M7, and of course, the consulting factories like Tuck and INSEAD. But keep on going, and a little bit of research has all the top 20 schools bubbling up as places MBBs look to as they recruit. In fact, you have to go pretty far down the rankings before you don't see a McKinsey, Bain, or BCG on a school's list of top hirers. If McKinsey is your dream firm, NYU could be the place for you as they grab 24 Stern graduates in 2023. If BCG is more what you have in mind, you could even find your way to Carlson in Minnesota because BCG is one of their top hirers. What about Bain? Sure, they recruit broadly at all the M7, but they also seem to have a special relationship with Georgetown, as Bain is one of McDonough's top employers. So what does it take for an MBA program to be a great place to go if you want to land at a top consulting firm? One key driver is going to be geography. Why are Duke, Emory, and UNC target schools for McKinsey, Bain, and BCG, and frequently all three? Because they're feeding the fast-growing Southeast region of the United States, particularly Atlanta. Well, if you walk into the McKinsey, Bain, or BCG offices in Los Angeles, you're going to be bumping into plenty of UCLA and USC graduates. Now, just because the top firms are very active recruiters, that doesn't mean that landing a position is easy. On the road to earning your job, you face a particularly difficult task in acing the case interview. If you've done such an interview in the past, you may already be a little panicked. If you don't know what a case interview is, let me explain. A case interview is where you're asked to dissect a particularly complex business situation and then make a recommendation with regard to a problem that needs solving. Examples can come from anywhere and include situations like why a company may suddenly be losing market share, or whether or not a company should expand overseas. You're then presented with some data to consider, with the expectation that you come to some logical conclusion. Invariably, there is some trick in the problem that's supposed to weed out some top performers to the rest. Traditionally, this type of prep is not done in a classroom, but through a club. So one thing you always want to look for in a target school is a robust consulting club that can help you prepare for the very intimidating case interview. A few schools come to mind that do it particularly well, including Cornell and Ross. In fact, at Ross, the largest club on campus is the Consulting Club, and they offer a tremendous depth of resources to help students better understand the consulting industry, prepare for interviews, and become top professionals. The club provides case preparation materials such as case books, a case training website, and even case competitions to sharpen your skills. Ross also holds not one, but 2 consulting forums each year that are attended by all the leading firms in the industry. The results for Ross are clear, as they send just about half of their class into consulting each year. So what are the best business schools for consulting? The short answer is all of them. Given how fast most consulting firms are growing today, particularly MBB, reaching the top firms is actually possible from most of the top 20 and even beyond. In fact, the constraint is usually not the school, but rather your ability to ace the interview. So if consulting is your desire, lean into all the resources available on campus to make you a candidate that MBB is on the lookout for. Are you at the early stage of your quest to become a consultant? Ready to start your applications? Check out our playlist on how to get into the top business schools coming up next.